Recording is on. Hello, everyone, and welcome to ABA Progs 2036 season. Here we go. We're going to get right into it. We have a sizable audience. They are aware that when they talk, it will be recorded for this YouTube post, and they are excited to be here. Let's see a good Progs, and with that, I am going to
Come on, Providence.
see multi-team mode, reset, sort, and advance. Here we go. All right. Here goes nothing. So we're gonna start. You guys want A to Z?
Yes.
A to Z. All right. We'll start with Alaska, and
All right.
just gonna do it one more time.
We're gonna save the commissioner for last.
Yes. Oh, great. Yep. I go last. Cool. All right. Roster. All right. So starting off with Alaska here, positive prog from Nick Jacobs, but I guess you like to see that. Lonzo going down is not a huge loss. They got some good progs from some other guys that might start, including some really promising progs from some young guys on their bench. They didn't get the development from their immediate backups, so they're just going to have an average bench this season. But if I'm being honest, this is a pretty neutral prog, and I wouldn't be too upset with it if I were them. I think that this is kind of just what you guys, when you think progs, this is the boring prog you think of. Either way, next season they're going to be a solid playoff team, probably between the 6th and 7th seed area.
Yeah, they got 20 million cap.
Yeah, they're probably going to be a high 40s, maybe low 50s win team. Definitely a buyer at the trade deadline if they're having a strong season. They have a weird situation with two young guys who both prog positively. They expire in 37. That could potentially be a trade for a superstar caliber prog right there. So we'll see what they do. But either way, fairly standard prog for Alaska. We'll go right over now to Anaheim, and oh wow, that's a positive prog if I've ever seen one. So they have one.
That is a lot of green.
2 players that go down, and they have, let's see, how many people went up more than 5 or 5 or more? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 players at 5 or more up. I mean, this is one of the best progs I've seen recently. But despite that, they still might not be a playoff team.
So the big thing to watch here is look at their ages.
Yes, they're a very young team. I mean, their bench, all of these guys are sub 24. They have more, it just keeps going, all under 24. This is a young team, a lot of potential to be a deep team, a lot of trade assets here, and a lot of young players with good progs. If you're the Anaheim GM, you got to be happy with this.
Mine is a bad contract, though.
Who is? Yeah, he is a bad contract, but he's a big man, so he's probably going to be high PER, and you could probably flip him. Who are they going to run at point guard? Do they have a point guard on their roster? They have a lot of scoring guards, but yeah, they don't have much for passer. They've got to be one of the worst passing teams in the league. I mean, Wanamaker's probably their best true point guard. They're going to be a team that's going to be looking for a free agent point guard, because they do not have one. They had great progs, but without a point guard, there's no way this team makes the playoffs. All right. So with that, we will look at Atlanta. Good prog from Warner, but overall fairly negative progs. They have a lot of cap spaces. They enter the rebuild here. It's a little disappointing to see Mincy go down. He had a lot of potential. But this is just going to be an okay team this year. Probably not making the playoffs, but kind of in mediocrity. They could potentially sell Warner. He has a good contract, but he is expiring. I don't know. If I'm this team, I'm fairly disappointed in Progs, but they're not in a great spot to begin with. Fiddler might be in 6th man of the year candidate, which would be pretty cool, depending on how well this team does. Yeah, I'd say they had pretty bad progs, all things being considered, after it's said and done. Beijing. So Rares goes down. They're probably going to end up moving him to get under the cap space. They had a really strong prog to their bench. That gives this team a really strong second unit, which is what they lacked last season. And they're definitely going to be a playoff team this year. It's weird that the guys I expected Eddie Jackson to have a good progs, and he just didn't. This team's big problem is once again going to be up front. Last season they saw big mans from Jeremy Cagle. Fortunately, with Cagle declining, they have Hackett and Matthews, but they're very clearly lacking a true star big man. So you could look for them to potentially make a move to acquire one. I'd say that overall this was a fairly bad progs for them, despite the strong bench. They just didn't get where they need the positions to develop, and the players that they do have their established stars did decline. Though they are a little bit deeper, so they might actually play better this individual season. Looking at Belgrade here, they need to fill out their roster. They have a lot of cap room, but Jesse King not progging up, Tiger not progging up, and Novak progging down is big hits. These are bad progs, but they're a rebuilding team. Clearly, with lots of cap space, they're going to make some signings before season begins. With that, we'll move on to Bosnia. And these are not good progs for Irfan. He's probably looking now at a potential rebuild. Burris went down. Matumbo crashes down. Bad progs for Nobby and Silver. 40's going to put up some crazy stats this season, but even he didn't prog well. Shelton prog bad. Honestly, this is like worst case progs for Irfan. And you hate to see it, but Bosnia is probably no longer a contender in the East. Taking a look at Boston, these are good progs. You can see right off the bat here, Mike Dowling joining a talented young team. While they do have Hoffer going down, they do get to realize some of that potential with their starting lineup. They're very cost effective here, though they will have to pay some stars in the off season, as they now have the emerging of Dowling and Graham. These are the progs you really like to see if you're them. They're probably
their bench is pretty deep.
They're deep. They're probably a playoff team. And they're young. I mean, their starting lineup has nobody over 26, and it's a pretty well-rounded starting lineup. Like Steve Nash is a true point guard. Jones is a defensive-oriented, athletic, much in the role of Slamtown Robinson, but a little better upside shooting guard. Dowling is a three-point specialist wing. Graham is admittedly undersized, I believe, power forward. Yeah, he's a little undersized, but he's a true forward. And Hoffer can also play there. Seals has been a solid starting point guard before, and Johnson's a lockdown defender. I mean, this could be a really good team. And they still have some cap space to work with. I'd be really happy with these progs if I were Aton.
Just about to say, Dowling is going to get paid this offseason.
This might, I'm going to be honest, they could be in the running maybe for GM of the year against Tampa Bay. As weird as that sounds, this is a really strong progs coming off of a lot of strong transactions. This team could be a top 3 seed in the East potentially. With that, we'll move on to Carolina. They made a ton of moves. You like to see Jake King staying as a high overall player, one of the best defensive players in league history. Dalton Miller starting to differentiate himself from Dalston a little bit. Billy Bogues going down, but he's still going to be high PER. This is actually a fairly solid
I'll take the bag. I took $25 million to go there.
Reich doesn't decline. This isn't too bad. They're not particularly deep, but they're going to be in the battle for the playoffs. You hate to see Trayvon Thomas. That contract is ugly. That is a cap dump quality contract now. Chris Matthews also declining is rough. Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, these aren't bad progs. They're just not great. They're going to be a playoff team thanks to some strong moves, acquiring Miller and King. And with that, we'll look next. Charlotte getting great progs. They're going to be back in the Eastern Conference playoffs here. Patton was a great pick. Despite missing the start of the season, he'll potentially be their starting point guard. Fortunately, they didn't pay Slider too much. I thought he might get overpaid, but it's a good thing he didn't because, man, those progs were nasty to him. With the exception of Slider, you have to look at rookie Mason Sparks, who had good progs. Brad Manning was a phenomenal addition. They got him at great value from Miami. A few years ago, he would have gotten paid a lot more. Sidney Dean played well last season, and Moore has, that's the step you want to see for a guy on a max. With a lot of cap flexibility in the offseason, with $60 million just in their starting lineup and another 30 off their bench.
Their bench is short. They have 4 straight point guards off the bench and then a shooting guard.
This is true. They could use
how many point guards they have on the bench? 1, 2. They got like
3, 4,
6,
5, 6, 7. 7 point guards, and all those guys are true point guards too. And then their starting lineup, you could argue that Slider is really just a true point guard. Anyway, great pro.
I just want to say this team is going to be really good, really soon.
Yes, I completely agree. Rex Patton with that great prog, they now have a really solid 2-way point guard. They have a lot of potential. Ty Gober is going to be a phenomenal bench player as well. This is a really good turnaround for Kevin.
They have been blessed by point guards. They have been blessed. Yeah. There's a guarantee that they have at least 3 good point guards, basically.
Yeah. And they could trade some of them for more pieces too.
Oh, for sure. If
they traded Patton, they could trade him for a lot of pieces.
I would say the most likely to be traded guy is actually going to be Walker. He's got the most advanced contract, and he's a cap, which generally tends to increase value. But he's been on a pretty good rapport with Kevin, so I don't really know. We'll see. With that, we go into Chicago. They moved Kramer away this offseason, so they're definitely needing to grab a big man. They didn't really do that, which I think is interesting here. They'll be running with a small ball lineup, but they got strong progs from Strider, and if somebody can pronounce that name properly, it will blow my mind. Somebody want to try that?
Hang on. Strelnieks? I don't know.
Yeah.
Strelnieks.
Either way, they got $6 million to try to figure out center. I feel like this is a good time that we're actually going to take a look at who is in free agency. So far, we've seen a team that needs a point guard, 2 teams that need centers. Let's take a look. So you got Phil Riley, who's a 65. He's probably going to get paid, but he's an undersized power forward. You have Sorkin, who he went up big time. McGillian also going up sizable. Powers does not decline more. But looking for a true center, Brad Daughtry at 55, maybe. Hinton's a little undersized, but he could work, I guess. Cario at a 54. There's some options out there. There's definitely some options. It's not a bad free agency crop, all things being considered. So I guess we'll see what Chicago's able to do. But they have $6 million to work with to fill out this depth. I could see them bringing in Daughtry for like 1 year, $5 million, and then bringing in Cario for like 1 year, $1 million, and then adding a couple guys on 2 ways. But we'll see what they do. Now we move on to Cincinnati here. LaMelo Ball, he breaks down. You hate to see it. Dalston Miller down, Castori down, and Hopkins down. But this team is a lot deeper than they were last season. They have a really strong bench now. And I want to see, honestly, I'm predicting they're going to start the Vort. I think it makes a lot of sense. They don't have any other true big mans.
Yeah, we're going to be starting the Vort.
Dante Cook, you hate seeing him decline after all he's given this franchise. He's in case you aren't familiar with him, we also see Chris Paul Jr. going up and Stanley Hudson going down. But taking a look at Dante Cook, this undersized big man, he's just 6'7", played a lot of power forward for this team, was their only big man for a while, averaged 10 rebounds and above 7 rebounds for a very solid time. In addition, was one of the team's best scorers. He's had a great career for them, and I want to see him stick around for a while. I don't know what role he'll have this season, though. In addition, this will be, as of right now, their first season without Halenga. We'll see if they try to bring Halenga back. Off their bench, guys that they could cut potentially to bring Halenga in. You hate to say it, maybe Stanley Hudson goes. I don't know. It's possible. But we'll see what's in store for Cincinnati. All right.
Not the prog they wanted from KCP.
No. Absolutely disappointing progs from KCP. KCP was a pretty high pick, wasn't he? Yeah, he's the 13th overall pick, and he has played in just 29 games across 2 seasons and averaged under 2 points, looking like a complete bust. We'll see if he can turn his career around, but it is not looking likely. With that, we'll take a look at the Cleveland Rebels. They're getting another meh Progs. No major upside here, with the exception of Archer. Genius going down. This is going to be another bad season for them. Just constantly not getting great Progs. Dodge McKissick looked like he might be the answer for them, but he suffered a sizable injury, and you can clearly see the regressions, especially on the defensive end. This is not going to be the superstar that they were looking for. And from a bench standpoint, they really don't have anything super explosive. Casey James is pretty solid and Phelps is solid, but this is going to be a team that doesn't have much to sell and is going to be looking to sell. Taking a look at Dallas, will they make the playoffs? Probably not. They have a lot of cap room, so they could make some moves. If they get Riley, maybe we're having a different conversation. But as of now, I would say they finally missed the playoffs. DeBerry going down is disappointing. They don't have a true point guard on their starting lineup either. The rebuild, it has definitely started for them. They have some bright spots. Gosal isn't too bad. Huddleston has a lot of potential to be a franchise player, and he's a rookie right now.
I'd flip him.
You'd flip him?
Yeah. When you're rebuilding as much as Dallas is.
I don't know. If I'm Dallas, first thing I look at is I think they have a lot of expiring contracts here. You have Wade expiring at the end of the season, DeBerry expiring at the end of the season, and you have a guy like Big Z under contract. I would, if I was them, you have this upcoming cap space. You also have 30 million plus right now. Go out, get a Riley. You put a Riley into a team like this, sure, you're going to be a borderline playoff team. But next season, you're going to have so much cap. If you make a splash in the playoffs, you're now a favorite to land a lot of big name free agents. And you could even retain this core right here. Probably they're going to, between the two of them, be under 20 million. You could bring this entire team back and add 2 max players next season. That being said, they really need to find a true point guard in this offseason or in this season. As right now, the only player that has any significant passing ability would probably be Josh Wade, I guess. Like, very much, I guess. I don't think he's ever averaged a ton of assists. Career high 6.5, no, 7.8. Career high 7.8 assists per game. And that was 4 or 5 seasons ago. So, not the way you want to go. We'll see how they do. Looking at Denver here, bad progs for their starting lineup for sure. 4 guys going down. Kevin progged up, though. That's pretty cool. And Hopkins progged up. Let's see if he actually got a little bit better distribution. Oh, no. You hate to see it. Well, he progged okay. Ouch. I feel bad now. I feel really bad. But, you got to do what you got to do. Honestly, though, not too bad progs. In case you guys were wondering what I was doing there, the maximum IQ for caps is actually, wait, is it 80 or 90? I might have been wrong on that.
80, I believe.
I think it's 80. Shoot, that's going to be even lower. Oh my god. No. Oh, he's getting killed. I feel horrible. I'm literally the worst. He had such good progs. Oh my god, I'm horrible. I mean, he still went
pretty good. Shit.
His potential did recover. I'm sorry, DD. It had to be done. Like, literally, it's the rules. Honestly though, not too bad progs. Their starters did get killed. It's probably a late seed playoff team. Maybe a seller at the trade deadline. They have a lot of pieces that I could see being flipped big time. Millsap, he's definitely a team looking for a point guard. 17 million for a quality starter on a 1-year deal, not the worst if you're a contender. I could see DD flipping him for a couple firsts even. All right. Detroit, wow. Right off the bat here with 3 strong progs. another one right off the bench, and a huge prog from Pele and Blackbird. But honestly, this is a really strong. Thor Hooks also progged up a bit, but the epithet went down. I would say this was a pretty good offseason and a strong progs from Detroit. I don't think they're a playoff team yet, but they are one of those teams that if they sneak into the playoffs with a roster like this, with their cap situation being as good as it is, because Kramer will expire. With Kramer expiring, if they sneak into the playoffs, they could be a front runner for a lot of free agents. So we'll see what goes on with that.
And they can take cap dumps.
This is true. They can take.
They
cap
could
dumps and
improve their team and improve their pick haul.
Yeah,
Wow.
they're in a strong spot right now. Yeah. GM Hale is probably going to be at some point a GM of the year candidate, maybe even this year. Edmonton hits 52. Jordan Rudolph with great progs, looking to be the new franchise centerpiece. They have a pretty well-rounded starting lineup and a really solid bench. Magic's Bird developing well is pretty cool. Purvis Short also developing well, along with Kiki Vanderwee. I hope I pronounced that right. And they also had a nice trio of 10 pluses. You like to see that 15 plus right there for a cap. That's cool. And honestly, these aren't bad progs at all. Like, this team isn't a true contender, but they could fight for a playoff spot. Even if they don't get a playoff spot, they have a lot to build around. And worst case, they could trade a guy like a Burleson at the deadline or a Dixon at the deadline and get some decent value for both of those players. I'd say pretty strong progs from Edmonton, all things being considered.
You might want to check the Birds IQ.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Oh no.
No. Oh, no.
Still.
Okay. It's still
Still
a
not
great
bad.
progs. Still great progs. All right. I was afraid there when I saw how high it went, but not too bad. All right. Taking a look at Flint here. They should be a playoff team, you'd think, but man, these progs did not help. They're starting to see the end of the Ryan Peel contract. He definitely was overpaid by them, and we're really starting to see that now. I mean, it wasn't like a bad signing at the time, but we're definitely seeing now the downside of that, the downswing. Baller Williams is actually surprisingly strong on defense, but I don't know if he's going to justify that contract in a season or two. Kwame going down is also disappointing, but he's been one of the best players in this franchise's history. You like this strong prog from Big Nugget Barnes, but honestly, these are pretty bad progs, and this team might want to think about blowing it up in the next season or two, if not now. Yeah, Trump went down. I guess that comes with the election anyway. So, what's next? Hawaii. Strong progs from at least two of their starters. You like to see the penetrated over there, so I'm going to count that as a win. Skarn also didn't go down much. That's a win. Darko, he went down a bit. That might be a sizable L, but look at that contract. It's only a 1-year deal, and frankly, I don't know if you'd find a better player on a $25 million deal, or you could move that contract. Maurice Stokes going up. You could potentially slide him in if you do move Darko. The worst part of this, though, is Casey Cunningham. He drops off big. Thought he might be a potential future of the team, but this is a deep, high-quality team and going to be a top 5 team in the West. I mean, there's not much else you can say about it. All right, Jacksonville. Ben Darlin going up. They're probably going to move him, so that's great value right there. That contract's a bit big, but for a team that's contending, I could see a team swallowing that deal, especially for a 3-point wing. Now the abandoned TJ Kumar goes up. He adds more value, especially in a contract year. He could be a decent trade piece. And Natrell Pitts goes up sizably. You hate to see the declines here of Roninger, Wilt, and Neil Thomas, but honestly, I call these progs a win, if ever so subtle, for a team that's in a rough cap spot and really isn't playing for a title this season. If I'm them, I move these pieces because I think you're a 10th, 11th, 12th seed caliber team, and you really don't want to be in that spot. All right. taking a look at Kansas City here, Kurt Anthony goes down, McNamara goes up. They added a lot of depth in the offseason here, and that's big for them. I don't know if the depth that they added is going to get them there. Oakham is a huge upgrade as their 5th starter, but I think that despite the depth additions, they're going to be on the outside of the playoffs. They're definitely going to be right in the battle, but what they really need to do is get past Oscar Willis's contract and Jamel Ford's contract. Those contracts turned out to be horrid for the team. And once those 2 contracts, they'll have $50 million freed up this offseason between those 2 alone. They should be able to add a superstar, get a real 3rd star. If they can get either a big man or a point guard, and even retain a guy like Al Roberts, maybe at the center spot. This team could be in strong position next season. This season, they're going to be competing for the playoffs. Kentucky, they have a horrid financial situation. This is what happens when you have 3 superstars and nothing else. With the new GM, they'll probably make a bunch of off-season moves now. They could offer 12 players $1 million and fill out their roster. So there's that. All right. Vegas is in a similar spot here. They're also a star-studded team led by their big 4, but huge step back from Ezekiel Bridges, making him a massive liability. Noel declining. These are horrible Progs from a team that showed a lot of promise last season. They're probably going to move on from these guys here and start the rebuild fairly soon. Maybe they keep Warner around for a couple more seasons. Maybe they even keep Cat around, but I don't see any way that this team is a deep playoff team with their current core. They're going to have to make some major moves.
At the end of the day, you don't want to see red. You just want to see green.
And this is a lot of red. So I'd say they've had one of the weaker Progs. All right. One of the most hyped offseason teams. They have the future of the league, Thomas Kuzminkas, and he Progs up. Obviously, it's a win. Looking a little bit further than that, they got a good Prog from Gary Robinson, and as a result, they'll have an all-60 starting lineup with a 60 right off the bench. That's basically what you want to see. This is a really solid team.
Plus cap.
They have $10 million in cap. They're definitely a playoff team this year. They're going to be able to make a splash in the offseason with Manhurts expiring. And they do have a legitimate potential big 3. You like to see this. This is a really solid team. And with that, we'll go in. All right, Melbourne here. McGillian goes down.
Oof.
That's the headline. But Luca Hewis also going down. Richard Williams going down. Ray Barea going down. Horrid Progs here. Leangelo going down. Mike Knight going down. You hate to see it. They did get a positive Prog from Art Wilcher. And this is not a bad team, but you do hate to see these Progs. That being said, I'm going to be honest. As long as you have an 85 overall David McGillian, you're a playoff team. The real question is going to be, can they retain him? As of right now, looks like it. We'll see if that stays all season. But it looks like they'll be able to retain him as of now. I wouldn't be shocked if this team starts the season struggling if they just flat out move McGillian. It makes a lot of sense, but they also have probably on paper the best team had around him ever. Maybe you could argue when Sam Eustace was first acquired, he was a better second star than Hewis, but this team is going to be in a really strange spot this season.
McGillian's back was tired from carrying the league so many times.
Dude, I hope he doesn't win MVP this season. So, Bruno Kendrick and Mexico City had a great offseason. Now, you may say these Progs don't look that great. I would completely disagree. They knew what they were doing, and they added another scorer, adding the list of quality scorers that this team has now surrounded Kendrick, who is unequivocally the greatest passer in league history. Yeah, I think this is a contender in the West. They're probably going to be between the 4 and 6 seed. They'll probably win a little under 60 games this season. I know those are all bold predictions, but they're deep. They have high quality. I think this is a great fit as a team.
I just want to say there's a little too much red for people in the age in the 20s.
There is a little bit of red for people that are younger. This is true. And they didn't get the positive prog you'd want with a guy with that big a deal. But I'd call this offseason a win, these progs a loss. All right, looking at Miami here, David Manning becoming a franchise centerpiece as McPherson and Burleson start to decline. They got strong progs from some of their bench guys, but they're pretty thin team. Cap restrictions, of course. Honestly, if you're B. Kinney, you like to see that you're developing a franchise centerpiece. That being said, the question of will they be able to keep him does have to occur here. He has a 96% re-sign rate right now, so I don't think they'll move him. But if that goes down, they may move him very quickly. All right, taking a look at Milwaukee. God, this team is cursed at the moment. Staunkus is going to have some amazing stats this season, but oh, you hate to see this.
Yeah, very a lot of red and only 1+1. Very unfortunate.
Yeah, that's rough. These were one of the worst progs. They're in a rough spot. Minnesota, the reigning champions. Axel Blaze probably won't be able to beat out McGillian this year as he's only an 80. He didn't go up, but he didn't go down, so you never know. He will have a bigger role as they lost Billy Bogues this season, so there's that. I think Sawyer, though, is a better fit with Axel Blaze because Axel Blaze, regardless of how good Billy Bogues was, Axel Blaze is a ball-dominant guard. He is like a Steph Curry. They're playing a Steph Curry next to like I'd say Billy Bogues. I'm trying to think, but maybe like a Brandon Jennings. I don't know. He's a little bit better of a passer, but regardless, you have your Steph Curry style player. Picking up a defensive guard was a great move. Bostain adds a great defensive six-man caliber player to this team. Honestly, really strong progs from a lot of their young guys. Make up for the downgrades to Miller and Simpson, though Simpson is now looking like a bad contract. And due to some really unique clauses in that deal, that contract could be absolutely horrible. He could extend that deal if he chooses. He can also choose to have it increase if a center with similar ratings, like say Corona Avaris, goes up. So we'll see how that plays out. Could be some drama down there. I do need to take a look at Jay Kumar. He is actually going to go down a little bit here because he did hit the cap. So he might go down a little bit in the red. No, he's just going to break even. All right. It's not too bad a loss. I doubt Homer Simpson or Axel changed at all there. Axel actually going down just a tiny bit there. Pretty strange progs for him, but he's probably going to be on pace for, I'd say, a 36-11 season this year. So we'll see. All right. Next up here is Montreal. LeBron stays the same. Hawkins goes up. Jacobs goes up. Honestly, this is not bad progs. They do have some red, but once they add some depth, which they do have the cap to do, this team could be pretty solid. So we'll see how that plays out. But I'd say these aren't too bad progs. They're going to be a top team in the East. If they make some moves, they could be a contender. GM General Grievous, we'll see how he does. And I think that he could definitely turn this team into a true contender again. Looking at New Jersey here, that's rough. You hate seeing Rashina go down. Basura goes down. Little big man goes down. This is just a rough progs, honestly. You hate to see it. A team that needed strong progs gets a weak one. They're going to be in contention for the first overall pick. They better let me check and see. Do they have their first? They do have their first. They have 3 firsts this year. They could be in a lot worse a spot. They can take some.
They have the Milwaukee first too. Wow.
Yeah, they're actually, on the surface it seems like they had a bad thing, but no, they're going to have 2 high picks. So we'll see how that goes. All right. Looking here, we got the New York Nets. Bill Murray is saved. Maybe he could produce something for them. We'll see how that goes. But really, this team is a story of overpaid players and no real bigs. We'll see if they make some moves. This team definitely needs some TLC to do anything special this season. Looking at Paris, I instantly see way too much red to call them a good progs. This is a horrid Progs with 3 bright spots. Wow, this team might have just gone knocked out of the playoffs. That's rough.
Dang.
Yeah.
You hate to see that. Carson Britt, George
Feels that
McGinnis,
hurts.
both with horrible Progs here. Yeah, this is a massive L.
Yeah, they were a borderline. They're one of the biggest surprises of last year too. That
Yeah.
sucks to see.
And they capitalized on that. They got Kane Neal too. They're probably going to be competing for an end of the playoff spot here. But if I'm them, I'm already starting to look maybe at a rebuild. Like you probably
that hurts.
you probably want to move on now from Prince Smith too. I don't know. They're in a tough spot. That's I feel bad for
6
Duke.
more years with Prince Smith.
Yeah.
That is going to be an all-time cap dump.
Taking a look at Pittsburgh Condors here, you got Yao going up, Dial going up, Ricky Tutuli going up, Irfan going up, Hawk Mueller going up.
We got the
James
Gardner going
goes
up.
up.
This is
Yeah,
what you want
baby.
to see.
These are strong Progs. This team's now in the playoffs too. Yeah, this is what you want to see. This is exactly what they want as Progs, and it's exactly what they got. Yeah, nothing else to say there.
You gotta check all those caps going up big time for IQ caps though.
Yeah, I don't think any of them were that close that might tip them over. I can take a look, but I don't think any of them were particularly close. Yeah, none of them were particularly close. Cool. All right. Providence. This is a
Some
lot.
good, some bad.
Yeah. So David West goes down, but he's still a high PER player that'll put up some great stats. See, I don't know if Ricky's going to be able to make the playoffs this year, but he has a lot of potential on his bench. I could totally see this being a team where you move as many of these players as you can and stack picks. They have the expiring contract of Rodney Robinson. They have the expiring contract of MJFE. They're not really in any horrid contracts other than Hiddleston's, which is only for 2 more years. Huddleston's, which is only for 2 more years. And they could probably get several firsts for West and Martin if they choose to. But they could also contend for the playoffs with a good prog from Davidis. Ricky has some choices to make, but the East is weak, so they do have the option there. And with $8 million in cap, they could be a player for some of the solider free agents. And they get one of those, they could definitely be a playoff team. So we'll see how that goes. All right. With that, we go to Rio. Strong prog from Q. Somebody else pronouncing that name. But Billy Hole goes up, Slenderman goes down, continuing to be a bad contract. I'm just saying, I could see it happening. Slenderman for Prince Royal, obviously a bunch of picks would have to be exchanged, but Rio is kind of in a more early in a rebuild, and that would kind of pull them out of the bad contract situation. But that's just a pipe dream, I suppose. Wow, what a bad contract is Dorsett. And Neptune is also looking rough. Oof. Yeah, I don't know. This is not great Progs. They just have some shining pieces in what it was a pretty rough offseason. Also, Guillen, ouch. All right. With that, we go to San Diego. They are the Conquistadors now. I need to change that. I can actually do that right now. Manage teams. All right. Conquistadors. Somebody know how to spell that? On the doors. And then I need to grab minor interruption as we grab the new logo for San Diego. So quick minor history fun fact about San Diego Conquistadors is they were operational until the league switched them to the Sails, and then immediately after they did that, wouldn't you know it, they decided to shut down the ABA and merge with the NBA, and they did not carry this franchise over. Cursed. That being said, San Diego fans can now rejoice with the Clippers. Looking at Vince Brown, he goes up. Jordy Wiggins goes up. Swagginson goes down, but with a lot of cap rump and some nice spots on this team, these aren't horrible Progs. They're just not great Progs. They don't have any like future megastars, but they do have some okay Progs, obviously. I don't know. This is going to be another middle of the range non-playoff Western Conference team. Looking at San Francisco here, I see the green that they needed last season. They might be back in the playoff race pretty substantially. This might be a really strong San Francisco Warriors team. Zion Jajas goes down, but Colton Nicholas is becoming the star that they paid him to be. Hans Martin with a big prog going to be a big part of the team this season. Oh, he's getting a nickname. There we go. You guys don't get that reference. You need to watch Christmas movies. Holiday spirit, you know. Boban goes up. DJ
Deep bench too.
Yeah, they're definitely a playoff team this year, a really solid team. And they have cap space. They could be in the Phil Riley sweepstakes here, potentially, depending. Yes. Kevin has requested an answer. The answer is yes. Hans Gruber is a diehard reference. All right. Seattle, I see the good Progs. This is another team. They wanted good Progs and they got them. You don't really care too much about the bad Progs on their bad contracts because they're going to move on from those anyway as they start the rebuild, and they have some really bright pieces now. Yeah, I'd be happy if I were them. This is kind of what you wanted to see, especially with Greg Pierce becoming more to the forefront. They just need to add a point guard so badly. Fortunately, there is a ton of point guards in free agency, like Kalo Hunter Greenman and Max Powers, who is healthy now. Surprise. And yeah, they'll be fine. They just need to make some moves. Snohomish, one of the contending teams, they have hit the 100 threshold here. We have both their GMs actually. They now have 370s thanks to strong Progs, and honestly, these are the Progs you want to have.
That is what you want to see. Snohomish ring season.
Very possible. Definitely going to be one of the top teams in the very tough West. I don't remember if they're ahead or behind Minnesota, but they're definitely up there.
Look at that contract, Kevin Warren.
Yeah, they got some good contracts.
Let's go.
They have potentially some of the best contracts in the league. So this is going to be a tough team to beat. All right, looking at Syracuse here. Hinton going up big time. I have to change. We need to get a Syracuse Nationals logo. All right. Sorry for the minor interruption again here. I'm really excited to see that we have a team moving into Syracuse personally. I think that's super cool. Yeah, I think that'll work.
Decisions.
Yeah. I'm trying to find one that doesn't have a messed up background. So, because some of them, the background carries over as, like checkered, and I actually need to fix Amigos while I'm doing this one. Syracuse, because the Amigos one has the background, and it turns out people don't like that.
I think we need a team on every continent.
There's not too many teams that we don't already have. I think that's the busted one. I don't think this one's busted. We'll see. Worst case, I have to find another one. But there we go. Now we go to Syracuse. There we go. Hey, that looks pretty good actually. Surprised it came out so well. Most of the old ABA logos are rough. Either way, they had pretty strong Progs. They're probably a playoff team actually. And they are almost out of some of their rough contracts. Yeah, this is actually a pretty strong offseason for them. I'd be pretty happy if I was Syracuse. They're now in a good position. All right, taking a look at Tampa Bay. They made some major moves. They get the great prog that you want to see out of John Lee. Jordan Williams goes up big time. BB Kinney goes up big time. They're definitely a contender in the East. Curtis gets the prog you want, and they have Corona Everest on the bench. Great. Ty Dowso goes down. Gino goes up. He is not Quinn Hughes. He is now Gino Ojetic. Yeah, that one. Peter Pan goes down. I do need to check and see if we have some IQ things. No IQ thing there. IQ thing with Bikini. No IQ thing with Bikini. That's cool. This is going to be a great team. John Lee, how high is his DIQ? Oh my God, he hit 100. He hit 100 with 70 speed. Oh my God, this man's going to get so many steals. God. All right. So Andre Curtis was do you guys remember who had the first overall pick in the draft? I don't remember who it was. I don't want to go to the draft and spoil it, but they were going to pick Chris Paul. I want to see who's better at the end, Chris Paul or Andre Curtis, because Tampa Bay was really targeting Chris Paul. Now we look at Tijuana here, and wow, that is green. O'Grady's up.
That's what you want to see.
Yeah, Tijuana might be in the playoff race again. What a quick turnaround.
That's a great value. Great plus 18 from the 25th pick.
Yeah. Phenomenal here. Tyler O'Grady looking like he could be a big time star for them. Yeah, if I am Tijuana, I'm thrilled with these progs. They're probably going to be battling for a playoff spot. That's exciting. All right. Toronto. Nope. Chris Paul had better progs. Chris Paul had great progs. All right. They have a potential dynamic duo there. Guillen's also a really solid passer. They're really set at point guard, frankly. They just need to add some bigs here. We'll probably actually see Flight Time get in on that starting lineup once again. And Trey Brick's also going up big time. This might be one of the most underrated GM performances with QVRL doing phenomenal here. All right. Next up is Utah. They moved to Gilgy. Doesn't look like they got hurt too bad. They got some first round picks there. I think this is in a fairly solid spot. They're going to be contending for a playoff spot, but probably sellers. They really need to get out of Gaddy's contract. That contract is so bad. And until they get out of that, they're in a pretty rough spot. They do have expiring minutes they could maybe move. They'll have almost a max slot in the offseason too. So keep that in mind. Jordan Washington is always going to be a high PER starter as well. So we could see him maybe move to a team looking for a 3-point shooter. Also, this guy is supposed to be a free agent. That's my bad. It was supposed to be a 1-year deal, but I, of course, signed him to a multi-year deal. Don't worry, you won't get a horrible player. All right. There we go. Vancouver. Kevin McDowell,
nice.
huge prog. He's going to be a big part of their team. Artis Gilmore also going up. This is going to be a really solid trio right here. It's just they have literally no other guards on their roster right now, starting Cruz Baker. I suppose Jacob Owens could maybe play the shooting guard, but they really need to add some more guards. Fortunately, very guard heavy free agency for Gino. Taking a look at Washington here, that is rough.
Oof.
All the red. Yeah, Washington still in the rebuild. No other way to put that. Maybe they move Josh Howard, or Odin this season. Maybe even Webb. We'll see what goes on there. Now Winnipeg, my team. I think the last team. Nope, second to last team. Damian Fadev goes down. EJ Peterson goes up. I need to check the IQ cap on that. He does not hit it. Hamilton goes up a little bit. Barber goes down. Clarkson up a tiny bit. This is just a deep team with progs. Honestly, low-key disappointing progs. I'll also just probably end up cutting those 3 guys at the bottom right there. If I can't dump them, we'll see. All right. Next up here is Wisconsin, the last team. Baby McGillian hits 70. That's exciting.
Nice.
two brothers, both over 70 overall. They might be the best siblings outside of the Powers brothers ever. Who's better, the Powers brothers or the McGillans? Ooh, decisions. Probably a playoff team. That's really all I gotta say on that. Yeah. All right. So there was Progs. Hope it was exciting. And what we'll do is we'll do wave 3 of free agency tomorrow. And then after wave 3, we'll do a day for everyone to declare their lists for players under, I think is it under 48 overall for 2 ways? And it's under 48 for 2 ways. We have some notable caps, Marcus Trustis, which is M process. Julius King and Max Powers, all notable caps, maybe featuring Drake signs. Nedrod could sign. Actually, he's eligible for a 2-way contract. Yeah, Triumph could get a decent sized deal as well. Same with Jeremiah Strong, as they both have potential. Lot of players that could be moving. So what we'll do, free agency tomorrow, then 2 ways. If you want in 2 ways, you can type in auto mine. I might give you good ones. I might give you bad ones. I might give you high PER players. It's just if you want depth but don't care what type of player it is, I will totally auto it. You can leave specifics. I don't really care. And let's have a great season. And we'll take a look at the power rankings before we export this here. We have 2 teams over 100, both in the Western Conference, I think in the same division. All of these are Western Conference teams right here. So, oh my God, Winnipeg's in the top 10. That's not staying like that. All right. The West is stacked. The East, not so much. Tampa Bay.
Yeah, Cincinnati second in the East.
This is going to be a good season. Prediction right now, my hot take, I predict the team that trades for David McGillian will win the title, and then McGillian will leave them. In fact, I'm going to say Melbourne trades McGillian to I'm going to say there's a lot of possibilities. I don't really know. I'm looking at teams that might have the ammunition for him. I almost want to say they trade McGillian to Hawaii, but they also may very well hold him, but we'll see. I personally like seeing the big trades. With that, guys, I'm going to sign off here. And thank you for watching. And yeah, thanks, guys, for joining.
Thank you